Hello folks and welcome to episode 11 of Square's Realm. Today I want to just talk about a load of different wee things, just wrote down a wee list, random subjects, not really thought about, just randomly off the cuff, discuss them and stuff like that. So some of the subjects I want to talk about is Scientology, madness in the world, the idea of conspiracies versus intellectualism, and how skepticism is no longer a virtue of science, but it's become a threat to it. It's something I've talked about before, but I just think the world's gone mad, you know. I also want to talk about Street Fighter 2, Shigeru Miyamoto, Crumb, and Schizophrenia, and the idea of spiritualism versus intellectualism as well, and a few other wee things too. But also got a bit of good news this week, as well as getting prints and t-shirts ordered. I have a bit of funding came my way from somebody that I know. He's keeping himself fucking top secret. He doesn't want to tell nobody about it, you know. He's private like that, but he's threw me a couple of £100. They fund a short film I'm making based on my love, and he's invested in some of these masks here, and as you can see, all I need is a wee wig and they sort of do the job. They've got that authentic kind of look, you know, and they got a load of these as well, like wigs and stuff, but they're going to be used extensively on the short film. I've also got access to like digital software, so you're getting a wee behind the scenes fucking insight by watching these podcasts. But there's this fist tracking software as well that can fucking put images on top of faces, almost like masks, and we're going to scan some of these fucking busts and then put them on the masks of just random strangers when we record the footage of the different areas and stuff. But that's the way we're doing it digitally. But I want to have this a physically strong film. I'm sort of against fucking CGI in movies. I hate digital effects, so I want this to be like a really kind of 80s throwback, you know, like a nod to all the films I grew up loving as a kid and stuff. But it's going to be good. Hey, lay love folks. And as you can see, they're good wee jobs. We'll be having them. We'll get all my friends, they stick these on and act as extras and stuff. We've got fucking dozens of them now. So that's one part of the film title. It's a vital scene, but I'll not give too much of the actual film away. I'm just giving you an insight into some of the pop culture elements I'll be referencing. But so that was a good wee turn of events. And I've got prints coming as well, which are up on the screen. Some of those prints and t-shirts are going to be available. And listen to that there, right there. Fucking all you get is fucking arguing, hey, swear to God. But Scientology, folks. I always think about Tom Cruise when I think about that, like, you know. Say to myself, what the fuck is he at? It ain't just, there's nothing just half away with me, it's just... Man's off his fucking head. Going on Oprah Winfrey and all, pulling out Katie Holmes, pure redner, her coming out fucking embarrassed as fuck, knowing the relationship's doomed. She's just brainwashed and she's trying to escape from the clutches of a fucking institution that's telling people there's a fucking meteorite fucking warrior called Xenu that's saving planet Earth from the spiritual vessels they've been trapped in called human vessels, and you gotta get clear. And me, Tom Cruise, is all, this is some really good data you're telling me here, you know. God. I was listening to Tom Cruise talk about when he started dating Katie Holmes, and you know, he was on Oprah Winfrey, and she went up to this big fucking house in the mountains and it was just like a big bare house with no atmosphere, and it almost felt like a movie set. And he's just walking about out in the middle of the mountains, loads and loads of money, but nobody with him on the flat. No real solid relationships, just ham Scientology and this wee chest of drawers he had with all the films in he made. He had Top Gun on a wee folder and file. It was like pure OCD, and he had Top Gun, you know, all these fucking classics, fucking Risky Business, and he had all the wee files telling you about all the people he met, and Steven Spielberg, and he did this and he did that, and he's achieving this, and he's almost fucking reached feet in quality, Sector 11G of fucking Scientology network fucking achievement mode. Or something like that, you know what I mean? But my granny, who's dead now, so Tom Cruise can't sue her for slander, but she used to always think he was gay. She said, oh, why doesn't that man there just come out? Jesus, he's gay as anybody. So I put two and two together and think about what my granny was fucking concocting on her head, and going, bet you that's what they're probably doing to him in Scientology. Frank me Tom's head, said, no Tom, you're a suppressive person. You gotta fight these pawns because L. Ron Hubbard just wants the best for you. We gotta get the next 4 sequels for Mission Impossible made, or we're not gonna make no money, Tom. And we can't. We gotta make money, Tom, because we want you to clear you of your impure homosexual, anti-Ron Hubbard fucking thoughts. Tom Cruise, it's just not enough. It's just half of the way with me. It's just. He's fucking mad. If you ever get a chance, watch a fucking Scientology Tom Cruise video banned. 4chan, like this anonymous fucking posting website, went against them and exposed all their fucking propaganda videos and released them online, and took a big dent in Tom Cruise's career because it shows you how fucking bonkers he's going. And he's best friends with the leader of Scientology, David Miscavige, who's fucking like a warp story in himself. But Miscavige and Tom Cruise are like best friends. And Miscavige is like, Tom, listen, we really want to get you clear, Tom. We got these ideas, and we want to get it across to 6 billion people, the eternal Scientology code of 6 billion clear Nikon victims. Because they have this like anti-drug fucking pandemic, and funnily enough, Tom Cruise landed in Derry one time, and I was thinking maybe that's Scientology moving on Derry. Derry needs a detox centre. Don't worry about it. Tom Cruise is coming in with a Mission Impossible crew. They're going to build 4 fucking narcon centres. It was widely publicised that he got a busted tyre shown out in Muff, and some fucking Derry man helped him, and he was like saying how great we are, but for all you know, that bastard's probably got PR ideas for turn us on to Scientologists. Fuck republicanism. Scientology all the fucking way. Narcon centers in every neighborhood. We will clean this city up. Narcon centers everywhere. Don't even know if I'm getting that reference right with narcon centers, but Tom Cruise, Scientology, closet homosexuality. The man's fucking fried. And I'm not being fucking homophobic or nothing. It's just come out the fuck, Tom, you know what I mean? You're alright, like, we love you. Get Miscavige, 10 on the slide on, get back with a cool kid, man. Get a transgender operation, it's gonna be grand, don't worry about it. But that's another film. What they talk about was madness in the word, conspiracies versus intellectualism. What I have been noticing a lot in the word is there's a real skepticism, and it used to be owned by science, but it's now owned by free thinkers and the uneducated working classes, people that formulate their own thoughts who are no longer controlled by propaganda. But it seems to be that both sides are failing. And the big thing with me in the word is I'm a bit of a conspiracy theorist, but I also believe in logical thinking. But I'm watching 2 sides of the story. The logical people, the so-called intellectuals and their arguments. And they're speaking shit, and the people on the conspiracy sides, their arguments, half truths and no's, but they're ultimately speaking shit. And it's like both sides of the coin of the public lexicons, intellectualism, are wrong. Even the so-called people held in regard, so-called Guardian repeaters and science repeaters, their intellect's no more stronger than the people that go up on YouTube and look at conspiracy theories, because they just go up on YouTube and look at what a professor said. So it's this like handed down intellectualism that's phony in a way, because all it is people trying to appear smart by repeating what so-called smart people said. There's actually no real logical interrogation of the information. And even Corona, both sides are wrong, but there's truth in each of their arguments. My stance on it is the whole thing of Corona is hugely overblown, but it is a real virus and does kill, but no more so than mosquito bites, fucking the flu, what have you. So if you're going to take these extremes to the virus in that sense, are you going to take them to the same precautions about, like, I don't know, sanitation in households? Have everybody out with gas masks, spraying people, the public's houses, you know what I mean? Health concerns can get a bit out of hand when we consider that we are actually bacteria that love and breathe off organisms fighting and killing each other. You know what I mean? You can't fight nature, like. And then they go even wider in your ideas. You can say maybe that's what they're trying to do, turn us against the nature of biology itself and get us all hooked on the machines. Yet again we go back to the Elon Musk Antichrist agenda. But that's what I'm trying to say. The conspiracies theorists are right in the sense that Jeffrey Epstein and the elite are involved in fucking like some illicit behaviour, Corey Feldman, Charlie Sheen, etc. But they're also wrong when they're saying Hillary Clinton are eating fucking babies in adrenochrome. Adrenochrome is a widely fucking available substance, and you don't need adrenaline or to kill infants, they have it. I went down that rabbit hole myself, and it's like they're definitely possibly spiritually redundant people at the top. They're definitely probably working in cliques, and they all have orgies and shit like that. Like I'd say Stanley Kubrick's Eyes Wide Shut will be more closer to the interpretation of what's going on with elite than say memes going around the internet saying fucking Tom Cruise and Ellen DeGeneres have tags on. But the same people I wouldn't defend and say they're good, or they're spiritually fucking valid, or they're not up to no good and snorting cocaine when they're talking about anti-drug campaigns and what have you, you know what I mean? But it's just people have gone off the kilter, and especially the intellectuals as well. It's not just a conspiracy theorist thing. The intellectuals have went, like, they've gone on the zealoted defence of like their institutions, like the Guardian and the scientific consensus, and nobody's really having individualist thought outside of their own groups and their own sanctions of like fucking like ideals. It's not actually truth people are looking to follow up. That brings me back to what I was talking about in one of the other videos about conspiracy theories and how people want to fulfill their own egoic needs for the world to be a certain way rather than to actually take it for how it is and observe the truth and the facts. But that was something I want to talk about. But I suppose I want to talk about Street Fighter 2 too, lighten it up a bit with video games, just give a wee short topic on this. Street Fighter 2 is a fucking fantastic game. There's all sorts of characters in it from all points of the world, as you probably remember, anybody that's played it. But it was a game that took over the arcades. I mentioned it before that City Software up in the Bogside and Craft Village in Derry, they used to have a rainbow fucking machine on there. It was hacked and it was a Street Fighter 2 machine, but the fireballs were fucking green and orange and all, and they came out about 5 at a time, and it was like 5 times faster than the normal game. And it just revitalised arcade industries. And then years later, in the early 2000s, me and my friends rediscovered it. Shawnee Morrison, Gareth, Darren, Charlie, Hammy, a lot of my fucking buddies, we all rediscovered it, and it was some of the best fucking times I've had smoking pot and spending times with friends. It got to a point that we were so competitive that it would be, there'd be like somebody in the room would be dominating for like a few hours, and then we'd break their pattern, and then everybody would grow that knowledge. So we became this hive mind of like Street Fighter fucking skill. They were all fight each other. And not to be a slabber, I think it was better than everybody in the room, but just a brilliant game. You know, the characters, the colours, and it totally revitalised the arcade industry, which was dying off in the 90s. Nobody was going to the arcades anymore, and it was brilliant. You know, you had Chun-Li, you had Guile, you had Zangief, you had Blanca, you had E Honda, M Bison, Vega, Ryu, Ken. That's a brilliant game, hey. Brilliant game, but Jesus, we played tight to the bone with that. We used to really fucking go at it, hey. It's getting double KOs and both he's falling at one time, and it's got the times where we have like so many double KOs that we had to judge the winning games on points. We were tight, hey. But some of the best times in my youth, especially smoking pot, we were in this wee cubicle room, just about the size of the space you see here on the camera, and the smoke used to build up. It was like thick hash smoke in the room, and when we opened the window you would just see billows of all the smoke going up into the cold night. It was fucking great times, but such a good game. Street Fighter 2 was a fucking design treat, and funnily enough I mentioned a designer called Shigeru Miyamoto, and in the last video, in one of the last videos there, he's a guy who worked for Nintendo and designed the Zelda games and Mario games, which I'll talk about in further episodes. But hey, you always hear the usual stories about him, how he was an artist, how he fucking influenced video games, how when he made Zelda it was inspired by his home time growing up in Kyoto in Japan, and he wanted to bring that theme of exploration to video games. And you know, there's these normal stories that go around, like tidbits of information about these legends like Shigeru Miyamoto, and they're usually things like, did you know that there was a survey done in the 1990s to see if fucking kids could recognise certain characters, and Mario became more recognised than Mickey Mouse. You know, tidbits of information go about the industry and magazines and stuff like that. But I was looking on fucking anonymous posting board there the other night, and I was looking about, they were all talking about Shigeru Miyamoto, and funnily enough I came across a wee fucking strange story about him, which you don't normally hear in the magazines, as much as I've been a researcher for years trying to find out all these sorts of things, wee extra nuggets, you know what I mean? But what do you hear this here? By the way, you can hear a dog out there barking, and a woman's probably getting domestically abused. This building's fucking mental. But in the late 1980s, future video game magnate Shigeru Miyamoto spent roughly 7 or 8 months sojourning in the United States. He was there conducting a tryst with a local American woman who later became the visual inspiration for Princess Toadstool. Following the release of the smash hit platformer Mario Brothers, featuring Nintendo's most popular long-running mascot, Miyamoto's profile had raised considerably. As a result, he was forced to use codenames, deck names, pseudonyms wherever he was staying. Most commonly, he used the name Scott Foreman. Because it looked completely innocuous and uninteresting on a hotel registry, this was confirmed by the then manager of the Best Western Motel that Shiggy was staying at, who said, "Well, I'd never met an Oriental fellow named Scott before, but his money was still green and I afforded him the privacy extended to all of my hotel guests. I distinctly remember he was a very generous tipper, and one time even gave me tips on beating Mario World free in Mario. He had a NES at the reception desk at the time. During the stateside touring, we hear this here, El Horny Miyamoto." It's like a kind of fucking explicit porno story about the inventor of Mario. Now, you don't see these in magazines, but it popped up on a fucking site and somebody got the information. Could be a troll making it up. Take from about this wall. Miyamoto was known to use stock format to indulge in one of the more deviant behaviours, hosting plus-side modelling pageants in the lobby or tangerine ballrooms of whatever middle-shelf lodging he was currently living out of. Rumours say that Miyamoto had a strong affinity for natural blondes with large breasts, pouty lips and ample hips. The winner of the pageant received several hundred thousand yen worth of prize money, as well as a once in a lifetime opportunity to attend a private audition in Miyamoto's suite for the covered role of Princess Toadstool. Those women would become known as the Scott Foreman Girls and would also be lent out to Japanese advertising agencies to endorse products targeted at American GAs. It's estimated that Miyamoto spent as much as $6.5 million over a period of 3 years indulging in his eccentricities. This is mad, isn't it? Like, you never heard this before. Like, these are all people at your home that don't know nothing about video games are probably going, who gives a fuck? But I just find this funny that I never heard about this shit before. Miyamoto would typically bill his expenses to Nintendo directly, once again under the name Scott Foreman. This incensed the president of Nintendo of Tokyo, who said on record, "This Scott, he lacks filial piety, and his manners are of a lower status than a Cambodian's." And thus, the hunt for Scott Foreman was on. Nintendo spent the equivalent of $450,000 in a single year investigating the matter. Meanwhile, Miyamoto was on an unflappable hot streak, notching one smash hit, gender-defying wonder product after another. He was a veritable rock star in Japan. He was the toast of the Yakuza and the toast of the common man alike. But things were not well in the Scott Foreman camp. Unbeknownst to all but his closest confidants, Miyamoto was living a double life in the States. With mounting alimony payments, gambling debts, the walls began to close in. Piles of cash disappeared overnight. Checks were coming back insolvent. Scott Foreman was at rock bottom when the dulcest tones of inspiration would strike the most profound harmonic swell of his illustrious career. He had the idea for his next game. He would combine his love of Mario with his love of defacing gardens and his love for French circus. He would call it Mario Madness. Now, I don't know if that's a troll that made that story up or what the fuck, but I thought it was kind of fucking interesting reading that. But I read that the other day and it was all, anybody that's into video games might want to hear that story, and most of the viewers at home aren't even fucking into video games, but I'm just fucking thought I'd share that with you because I'm a fucking eccentric fucker and I like the idea of the inventor of Zelda having fucking fetishes for Princess Toadstool and paying millions of dollars, and then they get them, they dress up like fucking Princess Peach, like what the fuck, like, you know what I mean? Wee Miyamoto. Wee Miyamoto. But we're at 22 minutes, folks, and I think we'll talk a wee bit about artist called fucking Crumb, who inspired the fuck out of me, changed my whole direction as a kid growing up. If you ever get a chance, watch a documentary called Crumb. It's on YouTube. It's by Terry Swighoff and it was produced by David Lynch. But it's a documentary that I caught on German television on Fox TV years and years ago, probably about 1995. And it came on and I was trying to get this visual style in my head. I was trying to doodle a certain way. I wanted to combine, like, the kind of cuteness of Disney and all that there, but with a really disturbing, like, fucking detailed fucking undertone. It was like trying to combine, like, this really disturbed kind of fucking vision of the word. But I could never get there, and I couldn't emulate that style. I couldn't see nobody doing it, and I didn't know how to get there. And I came across that documentary, Crumb, and seen your man's work, and it changed my whole style forever. In fact, put up some of the drawings that inspired me by him, but fucking his work is fantastic, and that documentary is a very fucking interesting, weirdo orientated fucking show. It's like about his brother. It's like a fucking mental ill nutcase, and on the brother, how he had this obsession with drawing. He always like forced to rest him. They do it on the family, and like Crumb's actually like a weirdo as fuck, but he's actually the most normal of his family. His brother fucking started off drawing fucking these really detailed drawings and stuff, and then they got so contorted that they became nothing but scribbles, bare scribbles being wrote over and over again on pages and pages of paper, as his mind worked completely out of control. And it also talks about how R. Crumb's view of the word was about, he's one of the quotes he said, whatever it is they're wearing, Adidas, be it be the 49ers, they're all just walking advertisements. They walk around all day. They got fucking Adidas on their t-shirt, Nike on their shirt, listening to this rap, aggressive music. And he said after a while you just kind of get disconcerted with humanity for not having, you know, kind of more like intellectual curiosity about what's behind all this jive bullshit. But he said whatever it is, the latest thing, they're into it and they don't give a fuck. And he said after a while, you know, he got fucked off with humanity and his work became very subversive. Funnily enough, he's went full circle. He's literally, if he now draws Bible stories, so he's approached the more spiritual thing in life. But that documentary's a very interesting documentary, especially his brother Charles, who lost the plot. You know what I mean? It's like he's a real mentally ill guy. But the mother used to hand him out enemas, like as punishment when they were weans. You know, she used to put fucking tubes up their ass and fucking, they're all fucked up like. And the old man apparently, the dad, he was like this real stone cold asshole. He said he would go out during the day and he'd have this big smile in his face and everybody thought he was great. He said, but the minute he came home after work, boom, the fist dropped and he was just a cold cunt. He said he had this real aggressive attitude after the war and he wanted his three sons to be like Navy fucking officers or something, but they all became up jalopy fucking weirdos and got anti-drawn, and he was never fucking happy or discontent after that. He said he once wrote this book called Training People Effectively, and after a while then they just sort of fell apart. But it's an interesting documentary and it's made by David Lynch, who's a bit of a genius as well at making movies. And the artist himself, our Crumb, work is fantastic. I think I've put it up on the screens here as I've been talking about him. But he does this really detailed work, you know, black and white, monochromatic fucking stuff. And he's influenced the fuck out of me. And I'll probably talk about him more in future episodes. But go check that documentary out anyway, if you get a chance, and tell me what you think. And in the comments, folks, tell me any artists or any things you think I should talk about, or any topics you would like to talk about yourself. But that's about it really, folks. 27 minutes. I was going to talk about schizophrenia and the idea that people in schizophrenia stupors are actually just spiritually rich and have abandoned like the intellectual models of this world. And it's not so much that they're in retarded stupors, but they're almost like consciously have abandoned the models of this world and are bathing in like abstract fucking understanding of spirituality, because they say that schizophrenia is a spiritual ego driven disease. Another idea I had about it was that I think people with schizophrenia can be born with extra egos. When Jung talks about the hierarchy of the egos, how you have the persona, the subconscious ego, and then the superego. My idea is that maybe schizophrenics have the persona, the ego, the fucking superego, and then a fucking super duper ego or something, you know. But the idea was going to maybe talk about was the idea that maybe schizophrenia people aren't actually intellectually fucking challenged, but more spiritually rich, where the intellectualism doesn't even come into it anymore, that they completely abandon this outside model for some sort of more personal, richer understanding of, like, you know, I don't know, Christianity, God, whatever delusions they get lost in. But I could be going a bit on the mad territory there, because my own schizophrenia is a fucking bit of a nightmare. But you know, I think it's easiest for us to assume that just because somebody's sitting with their eyes rolling their head, they're having an awful time. You know, they could be having a blissful fucking connection to someone that we just aren't aware of. So, but I brushed over that anyway. But I think that'll do us, folks, for this episode. Don't let the bastards grind you down. Get another episode soon, up live.